Welcome back. Well, this week we had some of our lockdown restrictions lifted. And for me, that meant the opportunity to go out shopping. So when we come back, I'm going to show you what I got. And of course, because I brought my camera with me, I'm going to show you what I did while I was out shopping. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, well, I went to Bedford Antiques, which is one of my favorite local places, and Bedford is trying very hard to reestablish the traffic through their store after having been shut down for about 2 months. So naturally, first place I took off to, and I am going back there probably later this week. Oh, and by the way, I thought I was going to be able to get away with doing this video without the photobomb kitty, but I can hear his bell. He knows I'm filming, so, he's stirring now. I thought I was going to have a chance to do this while he was sleeping. I guess not. Can you hear that? It's actually getting pretty loud now. Well, anyway, I'm hoping to get back to Bedford a little later this week because I really felt like I didn't have enough time there. So let's start with, let me show you the first thing that I grabbed, and we'll start with the in-store video. Here you go. Well, we are at Bedford Antiques. The first thing I did was I came up to the second story, and look what I found. This is a very sweet little hand-painted Japanese lusterware handled caddy, $8, which is a really serious bargain price because look at this color. This is silver. And that is a very, very rare coloration. So I have my scarf and here we go, my real nifty vintage bag that I picked up from Jeffrey Thomason's shop on Etsy. By the way, if you want a nice canvas bag, go there, grab one of these. Really big, really sturdy, and look at that graphic. Is that to die for or what? All right, we will check back in when we see something else worth noting. Okay. Yes. All right, you can come up. Yes, he is here. I don't know how he knows, but he does. He always knows. Yes, okay. He always knows. This is the little lusterware piece. Let me try to move that around so you're not getting too much glare. There we go. One of the problems with a really shiny surface like lusterware has is it can be very, very hard to film it. And this piece, yes, I know I've got you. This piece is really nice because it's this beautiful silver gray, which is a rare color. And as we mentioned, it was months ago when I talked about how lusterware started. What was the original purpose of lusterware? And it was to replicate sterling silver. You can see where this silver gray, yes, baby, I'm still petting you. You can see where this silver gray was one of the early colors they came up with. And this is just a nice little piece. A little handled canister. Very nice. That was $8. Oh, and I have my receipt here. Total damages on this trip was just $49. So that was $8. A piece like this, by the way, was probably actually used to carry food. Consequently, the handle. I would imagine that a piece like that would have held rice. Hard to say. So as soon as I had scooped this up, and this is, I wish this went with my color scheme in my kitchen, because I would love to hang on to that. As soon as I picked that up, I immediately went to another area that I always hit every time. So here you go. Here's the second area I stopped at. So here we are at one of Paul's booths, and I am right back to a piece that I have been admiring for a long time. This is a beautiful American country piece. Look at the size on that. That's probably, 7 inches? Lovely picture. Notice the embossing. That's from the Williamsburg pottery. And this is lovely. And it is, here we go, let's see if we can catch that in there, $7. It's not expensive. What troubles me about this is the weight. This thing has got to weigh 3 pounds. And that means shipping for this is going to be really high. Now, a piece like that, I could probably charge $20 for it, and still the person buying it's going to consider that they're getting a bargain. I mean, look at that. But $20 if they have to pay shipping on top of it for a 3-pound piece, and what happens if they live in California? Ouch. So I've got to think about this. It's not that it's a bad deal. I just really have to give this some consideration, because I would be taking a chance. So we may come back to this. Now, some of you are going to remember that Williamsburg pottery pitcher from my last trip to Bedford, possibly even the trip before that, because I always go in, I always look at it, it's beautiful, and I just have such a hard time reconciling myself to the high cost of shipping on a piece like that. Sometimes the high cost of shipping makes sense. Or if it doesn't really make sense, at least you can say, well, if I wanted that piece badly enough, I would be willing to pay the cost of the piece and possibly the same again, just to have it shipped out. It's a hard decision to make, because that's one of the problems with selling online. You have to remember that your buyer not only has to pay the cost of the item, but they have to pay for shipping. And even if you offer free shipping, somebody has to pay for the shipping. So the post office isn't going to send it out for nothing. So you either have to build the shipping cost into the price of the item or add it separately, but that cost is factored in somewhere. And when you have a very heavy piece, you either have to hope that somebody nearby is buying it to keep the costs down, or that somebody far away wants it badly enough. And in the case of a piece like the Williamsburg pottery pitcher, somebody nearby is going to be able to buy similar items themselves. They're going to have the same resources that we have locally. And because we are here in Amish country, South Central Pennsylvania, American country decorating is a big deal here. It's very popular, and people can go in, and it's like you can trip over this stuff in our area. Where things like this are hard to come by and they will command better prices is out on the West Coast. But of course, the shipping out there is going to be a lot higher. So, the universe gives with one hand and takes with the other. But I'm not through with that piece yet, as you will soon see. The next item, and we're going to take a look now, is some little pieces of geisha ware. Well, let's take a look at this. I found a set of little geisha-ware toothpick holders. Take a look at the price. $1 each. Definitely not bad. They are hopping into my bag with me. Well, here they are. And they were 2 toothpick holders. And I'm not even sure if they are, in fact, toothpick holders. The thing with little items like this is, yes, perhaps they are toothpick holders, but who knows what they did, in fact, hold. Could have been matches. You just never know. I grabbed these because in terms of geisha ware, they are fairly well executed, but also because unlike most geisha ware pieces, the border color is green. Most geisha ware pieces have a lot of this orange brick red in them, as you can see. So this is a nice sort of change of pace. Also, condition is good. Oh, and notice with the hands always. That's how I tell. Your fingers will pick up nicks and breaks a lot faster than your eyes will. So what did I pay for those? Geisha Girl, $1 a piece. That's right, that was in the video. So that's good. That means I'm going to be able to put a few dollars on that, throw it in my Etsy shop. They will go off. Someone will buy them because although geisha ware is not my thing, and as you know, I've seen a lot of poorly executed pieces. May not be my thing, but other people do like it. And who knows, maybe something like this will go on a Tidbit tray. So what was next? Oh, yes. I took a look at another canister. This is a pretty little lusterware canister, similar to this, not lusterware, larger. So let's take a look at that, and I'll show you why I did not take that one. This piece is a Japanese canister. So we've got made in Japan. Price at $12 is not bad because it's got the handle, but it's also got damage. It's not a lot, but I find pieces like this generally do not do well when they are damaged, so we're just gonna walk away from this one. As you can see, the damage was not all that bad. It was just a couple of little nicks along the top edge here. Still, items like that, it makes a difference. People don't want broken items. And I don't want to sell broken items. So will I grab it? No. If I'm going to get something with damage, the piece has got to be special enough and low priced enough so that I have to feel like someone's really going to get a good enough bargain when they buy it from me to justify the fact that they're probably not going to be able to use it as it was designed to be used. And that canister at $12, no. That was just not going to be a good enough bargain for someone else. So let's take a look at another bit of American country that I found. Well, I found a pair of salt and pepper shakers that are definitely coming with me. These are American country, and it's $4 for the pair. And although I believe they are handmade, there is some sort of scratching into the clay in the bottom that would lead me to believe it is a maker's mark. Still, The corks tell me they're not especially new, and they are coming along. Now, while I'm here, let me come over to the other side of this booth and show you something that is not coming with me. We have a stack of geisha-ware plates, $25 for the 6 plates. Well, I don't need to tell you that is no bargain. So, no, they stay, the salt and pepper shakers come. Well, here they are. These are definitely hand-painted, and let me show you, get them lined up together so you can see. Notice this is, the section I'm showing you is, here we go. This is the same section of pattern on each shaker, so you can see it's hand done. It's not the same at all. Nice American country design, very reminiscent of that Williamsburg pottery pitcher. It's nice heavy stoneware, the beautiful blue, and this is sort of a tan design. Nice. The condition on these is very good. We have something here. I'm going to have to look at that and see if I can decipher what it is. I was able to determine that it's dated 1993, but I can't quite make out the initials. I'll have to take a look at that and see if I can sort of tease the actual initials out of those scratches. Certainly handmade piece, talented artist. As you can see, this was very quickly done, just fast brush strokes. So, nice pieces. American country, someone will want them. Stoneware, heavy, but let's see what we have here in terms of what I paid for them. Salt and pepper. Salt and pepper shaker, $5 for the pair. Well, what that means is I'm going to be able to sell these at a low enough price so that we can offset the high cost of shipping. But again, like I say, people do like this, and we have it here, not available easily in other parts of the country. So, oh yeah, I'm going to jump on things like that. Let's see. Oh, next up. Oh, we had some, yes, next up. The stove behind me. About 3 feet away from where this stove had been sitting when I found it and got it, and Jocelyn was there. And I think I told you that even though the seller was not asking very much for the stove, Jocelyn still just went after him and just beat that price down a little further, bless her heart. Another stove, not quite as old, but I really wanted you to get a chance to take a look at it so you can see you really can find beautiful old appliances in places like Bedford. So let's take a look. All right, for all those of you who keep asking about my stove, take a look at this. It's a lot newer than mine, but notice the condition. We're going to get up close so you can see. Look at this. The enamel is flawless. Yes, there's dirt. Obviously, it needs to be cleaned, dusty, but look at that enamel. And this is very much how I found my stove, literally like 3 feet away from this one. So if you like old appliances, you can find them. This one, well, looks like we've got kerosene here too. And kerosene actually is remarkably easy to restore. My stove is converted to propane. That was my choice, not because I found the kerosene conversion daunting. But I just thought you might like to take a look. It's not exactly a before and after, but it's mighty darn close. Well, that stove was great. And when you're buying vintage appliances, what you really want to look at is the condition of the enamel. Almost anything else can be repaired, but a lot of damage to the enamel, no, you're just going to have to live with it. So when you find something, and this piece, the enamel is beautiful on this piece, as it was on the piece that I saw. Different vintages, but certainly well worth it if you're looking for older appliances. Next up is one of the booths that we always check out, not for resale, because the prices are high. Not unbelievably high, but they're already asking full retail. But I do want you to see their display shelves because they've got a great set of Hoosier cabinets that they've taken the doors off of, or perhaps the doors were always missing. All kinds of cabinetry. Some of them were small, what was small, inexpensive display cabinets that would have been in a 1930s home. And they're using them to display their wares. So take a look. Now, this is a booth I am always wandering around, not necessarily for resale items, because frankly, I think that the seller here has maxed out the price already on these things, but because I love the display cases. Some of these are just fantastic, from the 30s and 40s mostly. Look at this. Let's come over here and take a look at this. Obviously, this was some sort of Hoosier cabinet. The enameled top, and look at that. The condition on this is great. Yes, doors are missing, but gee, wood is wood. A nice enameled top is something you don't see every day. The molding across the top. And over here, same thing. Beautiful old cabinets. You know, and if somebody had a beautiful old stove to go with these beautiful old cabinets, I could see them wandering into a place like this and just making mental notes and going green with envy. But actually, the reason I come in here is because I am always on the lookout. Look at that. Red knobs. What do you want to bet those knobs were originally red? And this is interesting. Ordinarily, these old cabinets, by the way, were not in natural wood. Ordinarily, they were painted. They were often made of many different kinds of wood that just didn't show off well and were really designed to be painted. Anyway, what I was saying, oh, speaking of painting, ooh, what do we think of this? And it looks like we've got a couple of cabinets that match that, too. Wrong colors, but gee, nice. What I come in here for is I am always looking for a nice measuring cup. Something really interesting, really decorative. When I see it, I will know it. Because I like to leave my measuring cup on the counter. I hate fishing for it. I like having it right out handy. But if it's not going to be attractive, then it's not going to really warrant the counter space. Look at that, though. Isn't that nice? You could mix a cake in that measuring cup. We've got a picture up there. Well, still looking, but as you can see, when I find it, this is undoubtedly the place I am going to find it. Those are great. I just love those. And frankly, I like looking at them just for ideas, because the kitchen cabinets here, as you can see, are just standard kitchen cabinets. But I think when the stove gets moved out into the schoolhouse, we're probably going to take it in a different direction. And it's always nice to get a good look at what the original cabinets that would have been in the 1930s kitchen looked like. But I do think that when I eventually find that measuring cup I want, that's probably the booth I'm going to find it in. All right, we've got a couple of other things we want to take a look at. So I found an interesting Japanese mid-century plate that I think is going to be a project piece. So let's take a look at that. Let's take a quick peek at this piece. We'll take a peek at the price first. $7, so let me scoot that out of the way. Oh, and here, the next thing we want to take a look at is, let me see if I have that upside down. There we go, made in Japan. We are going to pick this up for two reasons. One, this is an unusual piece. This is a mid-century piece. You can tell from the colors, the style, but the mark on the back also tells me it's mid-century. And mid-century is really hot, but there are some condition issues. Take a look right there, see? And then over here, right here, see where my finger's pointing? We have some more missing paint. Now I'm going to take this home. Some of that paint might not have been chipped off. Some of it may be areas that were never painted in the first place, in which case we leave them as they are. Others, like this, I'm sure this had been painted, and I'm sure it's lost the paint. So that's going to be part of our project. But I thought the other part of our project would be determining which is which. How is it that I can say that's missing, that's wear, that's something that the paint is scraped off, and maybe I might want to touch that up, and I might look at something like this and say, I don't think so. I think that was from the manufacturer. There are little indicators that will tell you this, so I think we will save that for a project. Well, here's the plate. And as I say, I think this is going to be a project piece. I think we are just going to study this piece and see if we can sort out how it is you can tell wear and damage. Now this is, I wouldn't go so far as to say damage, but it's wear, and separate it from manufactured defects. What happens when they didn't quite get enough paint on the piece at the factory? And, is this all manufactured defects? So I think that's going to be a little project piece just for study, because it's nice to be able to go into a shop, take a look at a piece, and say, well, on the surface of it, maybe it does look like these are flaws, but, is this a break? Is this damage? Is this paint wear? Or is this something that was always inherent in the piece? And with Asian porcelain, as we were discussing when we talked about these little geisha ware pieces, when you start looking at Japanese export porcelain, very, very often the flaws are just as it came off the factory floor. And it's good to be able to tell the difference, because a factory flaw is not as big a deal as damage or wear. Oh, and wear is not as big a deal as damage. So That, I think, is going to be a project piece. We're probably going to use that to try to tease out how we tell the difference. So let's go back to that Williamsburg picture again, because it did snag me on the way out. Okay, remember this? I'm giving in, because every time I walk by this case, I am drawn to this piece. It's just beautiful. It's a gorgeous piece of American country pottery. And yes, I'm not going to be able to put very much on that. In order to sell it, I will be lucky if I am able to cover the cost of the item and my selling fees, because, as I say, the postage is going to be brutal, and I don't want anybody to have to overpay dramatically for it. So, it's coming with me nevertheless. And the thing that really tipped the balance in favor of picking this up was when I came to realize that so many parts of the country, you just can't find this kind of work. And American country is a really popular and frankly very beautiful decorating style. There is someone out there who wants this. It's going to go into their kitchen or maybe even their dining room, and it's going to be loved and appreciated. And frankly, I think it's been sitting on this display rack just a little too long. So it comes home. Well, as you can see, here we go. Yes, I did take it. I was swayed by the fact that somebody will probably want it. It might end up sitting in my Etsy shop for a very long time. It's always possible. It could find a buyer very quickly, but I just couldn't leave it behind any longer. It's a nice piece, and I think we need to just try to give it a good home. So that one was $7. As I say, it was not expensive. It's not the price that troubled me. It's the shipping costs. So let's take a quick look at another piece that I saw on the way out, did not purchase, but I wanted you to be aware of this. So here you go. While we're here, I want to show you an interesting little piece. This little toy dresser, or doll's dresser, if you will. Usually these were handmade pieces. Grandpa made them for the grandkids. This one is $50. And let's see, what are we looking at? It's about 9 inches to here, maybe 10 to the top. So I'm going to say overall it's about 10 by 12. We've got drawers, we've got nice little knobs. And as I said, $50. Go on eBay. You can get them for a steal on eBay. They simply do not sell. And they are terrific. They make great sewing boxes. They make great knick-knack boxes, jewelry boxes. If you have stuff you would like to store, and remember how it works, it's not hoarding if you keep it in a pretty box. You can grab these dirt cheap on eBay. Go take a look. Pieces like that dresser are readily available on eBay. I see them all the time. They are not expensive because they don't sell. I see them in antique shops constantly, and they will sit there day after day, week after week, month after month, sometimes year after year. Everybody seems to think they ought to sell better. They don't. If you want to buy a piece like that, go to eBay. Most of your purchase price is going to be tied up in the shipping. But in fact, you can certainly get one, even if you have to have it shipped in from the other side of the country, for less than the $50 they will be asking in the antique booths. That's one of the things that antique dealers tend to be very unrealistic about when they price them. So, thought you ought to see that. Now, meantime, I had a few other things that I grabbed while I was at Bedford that I wanted you to take a look at. This one is just a little hinged. This is a Japanese import piece, well, export from Japan. I recognize the importer's name on the bottom. These are cute. They never stay in my Etsy shop for very long. They are desirable. People do like them. Good condition, nice little Japanese piece. In this case, very nice. Let's see if I can get that. Yeah, there. So there's no glare. Very nice little design in the gilding. Grabbed that. That piece was, what do they call that? Hand-painted Japan thing. Hand-painted Japan. I think they $3. That's what it was. Now let's see if we can find a little porcelain box blue. Ooh. This was $7. It's actually a little high compared to what I usually pay for these, but it's also larger and in an interesting and more useful shape than I usually find them. This is just a Chinese trinket box, and as I say, an interesting and useful shape. Pieces like this never last long in my Etsy shop. So that was sort of a no-brainer. We grabbed that. This, I think this was $6, a pair of geisha-ware salt and pepper shakers. They are large. Again, geisha-ware collectors will want these. Nice pieces. They're not going to go for a great deal, but I don't have a problem with that, because sometimes when you are looking to stock your shop, you need to think in terms of drawing people in, and I don't mind being considered the seller who will take care of the need for geisha ware. It's fine with me. Another set of salt and pepper shakers, and I believe these were $5, unmarked, definitely Japan, very nice pieces, and at $5, of course, they are going to sell well. And the final piece is just this very sweet little gilded plate, very nice. I went into Bedford saying to myself I would like to pick up a few unusual plates for Tidbit trays, and because I really didn't have enough time there this last time, I got one. So that was my Bedford haul. I'm satisfied with it. I'm not unhappy with it. I got nice items at good prices. But as I said before, my failure was I did not budget enough time. So I'm going to see about getting back there before the end of the week, because so many of the vendors, and Bedford is just a series of booths from different vendors. So many of the vendors took the last 2 months when we've been in lockdown and took advantage of that and changed up their stock. So there was a lot of stuff to look at. So I'm going to have to check, see, maybe we can come up with some more dishes. All right. It would have been nice If we had time to go through our word origins this time, we don't. I'm sorry, because we're just running over. I wanted to make sure that you all understand that for those of you who are still on lockdown and hitting the end of your tether, we do have people who have volunteered to do outreach, to be sort of your YouTube pen pal buddies. Keep you going, do what they can do. Please, this is your channel. These people are here to help you, and we all want to get each other over the hump. So if you are feeling frazzled and frustrated, if your state is not opening up quickly enough, and believe me, I know what that's like. I would have liked my state to have been open like 6 weeks earlier. Reach out. There are people there who are willing to help. Remember that. Your channel, we are going to be here for you. All right. Take care. This is a Wednesday video, so I will not be seeing you tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday. Tuesday and Thursday are the days off, but I will be seeing you on Friday. All right. Have a great couple of days.